What's up, addicts? Welcome to the Fantasy Addiction Network. In this video, we are looking at the fantasy outlook for Tyreek Hill, wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs, heading into 2020. Before we get started, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. We're doing a ton of videos like this. I want to make sure you guys are subscribed so you get those when they come out. Also, check our website out, fantasyaddictionnetwork.com, for a full list of rankings and projections to see how these guys all lay out across different scoring systems. You can customize that, so make sure to check that out. And let's get going. I want to talk about Tyreek Hill. So last year, a bit of a missed opportunity season because of the injuries. He was being drafted very highly after finishing as the #1 overall wide receiver in 2018. Finishes 2019 with 58 receptions, 860 receiving yards, still getting 7 total touchdowns, but missing 4 games and arguably missing 6. He had, for very first week, missed the majority of the game with his joint dislocation, and then had another, basically the entire game missed because of a hamstring strain running out on a route, and didn't return for the remainder of the game against the Chargers. So basically, these stats are from 10 games. Finishes the season with 188.3 fantasy points, which was 32nd at the position, and his fantasy points per game, including those 2 games that he left early, 15.7, enough to put him at 12th at the position. But looking at his box score, you can clearly see the type of upside that he provides for you when he is firing on all cylinders. 25 points against Houston, 26 against Minnesota, 33 against Tennessee, multiple wide receiver 2 weeks against Denver and Green Bay. The 0-point game against the Chargers, which was incredibly disappointing, but then he finishes up the year without going below 10 points. So with the exception of the 2 games that he got hurt and left the game early, always finishing with a minimum of 10 points. So he's one of those rare guys that gives you an incredibly high ceiling and still gives you a high floor. Because without those injury games, you could probably assume he'd at least give you 10 points just based on what he did for the remainder of the year. While he's not being overlooked, the hard thing this year is going to be telling yourself no to a guy like Tyreek Hill in the second round, because we know what he did in 2018. Tyreek Hill finished with 334 PPR fantasy points. That would have basically put him as like the running back 2 last year. He would have outscored everyone with the exception of Christian McCaffrey. Now, I know that running back points there's a big drop off between the top guys and the bottom guys, and it's very hard to ever recommend doing anything other than running back. But as the ADP continues to shift, if more running backs keep getting pushed up into the first round and you're stuck there, at 204 and all of the upper echelon running backs are gone and Tyreek Hill is sitting there, it's going to be very hard to say no to that. Tyreek Hill obviously gives you the opportunity and the possibility of being the #1 wide receiver at the position because he's already done it. Last year saw a little dip in his target share, finishing at 21.9%, and obviously a dip in his yards per target, finishing at 9.8, 15th overall at the position. Still really creating a lot of space there. Target separation 1.97, 6th best at the position. And I wanted to also point out here, removing the games where Hill left due to injury, so those 2 games where he left early, he averaged 18.42 fantasy points per game, which would have been 294.7 over a 16 game span. And this is also a year where, dealing with that lingering hamstring strain, and Patrick Mahomes dealing with that knee dislocation for a portion of the season, he wasn't as effective. He still would have almost breached 300 points had he been able to play at the same rate that he was when he was healthy. Man, it's really hard. It's really hard to pass up on Tyreek Hill in the early second round. I'm not endorsing it yet because as long as you can still get guys like Miles Sanders or Kenya Drake or Nick Chubb in that range. But as soon as it starts falling down and you start getting guys like having to choose between Tyreek Hill or like Austin Eckler or Josh Jacobs, that doesn't give you a receiving floor. This is going to be a hard year if you have a tail end pick, like from like picks 9 to 12. It's going to be really hard to say no to those receivers as it stands right now, I'm ignoring receiver at that spot, but things could change very, very quickly, especially once we start seeing more players come into the pool and ADP start to shift. If running backs start to jump up and Tyreek Hill falls to like the 2.5, 2.6, and a lot of those running backs that were used to being able to get around that spot are gone, it might just be worth it to jump up and take Tyreek Hill because he gives you such a significant advantage at the position when he's playing healthy. Has again that ultimate ceiling, but still a ridiculous floor. There's definitely reason to consider putting him into the same tier as Michael Thomas and Devontae Adams, and both of those guys are going into the first round without question. So you're getting a discount on a guy because he missed some games due to injury last year. And just for fun, I wanted to throw these GIFs in here just as a reminder of how fast he is. So Damian Williams, reminder, he runs a 4.45. And this is a run in which Damian Williams breaks away. You see Tyreek Hill like over 10 yards behind. He just catches up to him and pats him on the back like, "Hey buddy, how you doing?" But he did that twice. Like that, he didn't just do that once. He did it twice in the same season. Like, this guy is insane. How do you run that fast? I don't understand. Um, so where that leaves our projections for him, we're actually giving him a little bit of a floor here, and we're not projecting his upside, even though we recognize that it exists. So right now we have him at 81 receptions, 1,276 receiving yards, and 11 total touchdowns. But knowing full well those receiving yards could be closer to 1,400. Those total touchdowns could be closer to 14, and those receptions could be closer to 90 or 100 if things go right for him. So again, assuming health, this is his floor, and that would put him at the wide receiver 3 right now. It's really hard to imagine him not hitting that if he plays a full 16 games. And he hasn't really dealt with injury outside of this last year. Those were kind of fluke injury accidents. Obviously, a hamstring is a little bit more concerning since that's more soft tissue, but that really only slowed him down for a little bit. The dislocation, the shoulder dislocation, was something that was a bit flukier, and not really expecting that to happen again. So, boy, I endorse it if you take him in the second round. There's a lot of good receivers in round 3 and round 4 that I am targeting that I would prefer to start my draft with 2 running backs. But if you take Tyreek Hill in the second, I'm not going to be mad at you for it. He gives you such tremendous upside on a week-by-week basis and could really be a anchor point for your team, especially if you're able to hit on your running back that you take in the first round. So if you start your draft like Joe Mixon, Tyreek Hill, that could be game-changing, season-winning for you. So I understand why you do it, but we'll see how the ADP shifts and give you guys more strategy as we get further along in the summer. But thank you guys so much for watching. Really do enjoy doing these. Let me know in the comment section if you have any other players you want me to hit on the Chiefs, and we'll keep going. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.